What's up, YouTube? Team Movies here. Now, earlier I did my 10 favorite movies that are so bad they're good. So that gave me a bit of an idea to do my top 10 worst movies of all time. I do love lots of films, and I even have enjoyed most of the popular films. But there are movies that I think are complete trash. I'm not gonna lie. There's films I have watched over the years that are just utter trash, and they're just horrible, horrendously bad, and yeah. So, with that being said, here are my top 10 worst movies of all time. Coming in at number 10 is going to be a sci-fi film called Macame. I remember when I first saw the trailer, I actually saw the trailer for this one time, and it was the trailer opened with, Ron McDonald and all. So I was like, this looks okay. So I checked it out on TV one time. It's actually pretty much like a spoof of you will of. It's actually supposed to be like a spoof of E.T. It's a bad film. The alien looks horrible. I mean, granted, it's the '80s, so I mean the effects in the '80s wasn't top notch. But back in the days you had a really cool looking alien with E.T. You should have made that alien look much better than he did. I mean, it's pretty much where this wheelchair bound boy named decides to help ends up helping to reunite an Earthbound alien with it's he wants to help his Earthbound alien and wants to bring the alien back to his extraterrestrial family and all. And the mysterious alien creature is of course named Mac, who pretty much strikes up a friendship with the kid and all. And the kid is played by Jade Kilgore. And I mean, this movie is it's horrible. It had a terrible script behind it. It, it was partially supposed to be a comedy too, and the jokes felt flat. I mean, this also felt like a McDonald's commercial too. There's that also, and yeah, Mac and Me is oh god, so bad. It's not even so bad, it's good. It's just horrendously bad. Yeah. Alright, coming in at number 9 is going to Jaws the Revenge. The original Jaws is just iconic. It's it's of course Steven Spielberg's masterpiece. You know, it was a major hit when it got released in 1975. So studios decided to go ahead and do some sequels to it. Jaws 2, I quite like Jaws 2. But then they went to shit. We had Jaws 3D with Dennis Quaid, which, oh god, that was so bad. But we had the worst of them all, which was the final installment of the Jaws franchise. That, my dear friend, goes by the name Jaws the Revenge. Directed by Joseph Sargent, starring Lorraine Gray, who of course plays the widow of Ellen Brody, of course, Brody was of course was played by Roy Schneider in the original one, and so you got Lauren Gray who plays the widow of the captain, and this time around you got a massive great white shark who's once again terrorizing a beach and all. And this movie is it was not as or scary like the original was. The acting was horrendous. I mean, you had poor Michael Caine and Mario Van Peebles in this. I mean, those two are great actors. I mean, yeah. You even had the late Judith Bossy, who I believe this was her final film. Oh no, I think it was Lamb Before. No, it was All Doors Go to Heaven. That was her final film. Sad to say, Judith Bossy passed away at a very young age, at the age of 10. Really tragic loss. But yeah, Jaws the Revenge is it's horrendously bad. It's very. Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, Jaws: The Revenge is. I mean, this was the final Jaws film of the franchise, and glad to say we have not had any more Jaws sequels since. I mean, I don't even know if we'll ever get a Jaws reboot, but yeah, Jaws: The Revenge is just. Oh god, I mean, that and Back at Me, by the way, both contain a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah. All right, coming in at number. All right, coming in at number 8 is probably one of the worst comedies of all time. You know, I love me a good comedy. I even like unpopular comedies. But this goes down as one of the worst comedies you'll ever want to encounter. That goes. The worst number 8 goes to Freddy Got Fingered, starring and directed by Tom Green. Freddy Got Fingered is. I mean, for one, it holds a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. There's that. Freddy Got Fingered is so darn horrible. This I did not find this movie to be funny at all. The Tom Green character was just horrible. You even had Anthony Michael Hall was in this. You even had the late great Rip Torn, Julie Haggerty. I mean, here you got Tom Green who makes his directorial debut, and here he plays a 20-year-old slacker named Gord Brody, who pretty much wants to become a animator of Hollywood cartoons. And so, like, his dreams of working for a studio mogul named Davidson, played by Hall, pretty much temporarily washes out. And so, like, of course, along with his thankless job at a cheese factory, Gord ends up returning home to live with his parents and all, and he ends up living in and the parents, of course, want him to go out to get a real job, and he also has a younger brother named Freddie, played by Eddie K. Thomas, who's not who pretty much works in a responsible position at a bank and all. And so, yeah, I mean, this Freddie Got Fingered is just so terrible. I mean, this movie is not at all funny. It's one of the worst scripts you'll ever want to see, read. I mean, how the heck did this movie get greenlit? It's beyond me. It's just, it shouldn't have been like that. That's really what Freddy Got Fingered is. I mean, for one, the name literally sounds like a porno. Like, seriously, don't the name literally sound like a porno right there? I mean, yeah, Freddy Got Fingered is just, oh god. And thankfully, we have not seen Tom Green do any other major stuff lately. So, ooh, oh boy. But maybe this is why Drew Barrymore and Tom Green got divorced. Maybe Drew Barrymore just saw Freddy Got Fingered and was like, "Bye, Green." I don't know the details and all, but yeah. And I believe this won loads of Razzies as well, and well deserved. And movie 43 is much funnier than this crap. I'm not lying. I love movie. I'd rather watch movie 43 than this than this shit in a blanket. So yeah. All right. Coming in at number 7 is going to be the Avengers. Now, not to be confused with Marvel's The Avengers. Marvel's The Avengers is awesome, but I'm going with the horrendous 1990 something film, which I believe got released in 1995. Yeah, I believe it got released in 1995, 1996, or I think 1998 or something. Now, this is, of course, based on a British TV show, which ran on CBS from 78 to 79, which I never really seen the TV show, so I can't really, comment on the TV show itself. But this is pretty much like a super spy comedy-based film, and it's part comedy, part action. I mean, This movie is horrible. Granted, it was like way before the MCU kicked off. So I mean, I could imagine they did this movie today. People will probably want them to change their name because they'll get mixed up with Marvel's Avengers. But yeah, the Avengers one with Uma Thurman, Sean Connery. You had Ray Fiennes was in this. Yeah, this movie was not at all funny. Had some terrible, horrendous effects. It also holds up a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes, by the way. Terrible directing by Jeremiah Chichek, who I don't think ever directed anything after the Avengers and all. I mean, I think they probably could maybe reboot the movie today because I think it'll probably be a better if they reboot do a new take on the Avengers today. I think it'll be much better than that 1998 one. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen the 1998 Avengers film with Uma Thurman, Sean Connery, Ray Fiennes, you don't need to see it. It's that movie is shit in a blanket. So yeah. Coming in at number 6 is probably one of the worst anime features of all time. I would have literally added this very higher, but the top 5 I can't think are much worse. My number 6 worst movie of all time goes to the Emoji Movie. How the heck did this movie got made it's beyond me. The Emoji Movie is just, I mean, it's just horrendous. It's not at all funny. I mean, how did they get a talented voice cast like TJ? No, how did they get Patrick Stewart involved in this? It's so much beyond me. This movie is just bland. I mean, yeah, of course. Right? Yeah, the Emoji Movie, of course, won the Razzie Awards for Worst Picture, which well deserving Emoji Movie. I mean, the animation was just, oh god, so bad. This movie, like when I did for my top 10 worst movies 2017, the Emoji Movie was of course number 1. It's so horrible, and I still have no idea how this thing got made. How did they get Patrick Stewart to voice a talking poo? Is still beyond me. I mean, the Emoji Movie is a crime against nature. It's a crime against humanity. That is just so bad. Alright, coming in at number 5 is M. Night Shyamalan's shit fest of an adaptation of The Last Airbender. Now, granted, I barely watched the animated Avatar Last Airbender series, but, M. Night Shyamalan's live-action adaptation of The Last Airbender. Oh, I wish my brother was here right now. He'll definitely review it on this one. The Last Airbender, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, is just shit. It's just so blandy, horrible. I mean, I remember seeing the first trailer for this, and I was like, that trailer looks awesome. But I want you to see it. Yeah, I want you to see this movie. Okay, let me find a good way to say this. Okay. The Last Airbender sucked. The effects was just blatantly horrible. I mean, lots of these characters was whitewashed. The acting was just so damn bad. Shame too, because you got a talented actor like Dev Patel, who was like 2 years ago before this movie came out, he was in the Oscar-winning film Slumdog Millionaire. And how did Dev Patel go from a really good movie like Slumdog to a shit fest of a film like The Last Airbender? It's beyond me. And M. Night Shyamalan actually once said that one reason why this movie got made is because I remember hearing that like his Dora was a fan of the show, so he wanted to do something that his Dora enjoyed. Sad to say. this here is why Hollywood executive directors and all do not listen to your kids. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm pretty sure it wasn't her idea. Like, I know it was her idea, but I'm pretty sure she wasn't, like, she didn't give any pointers on the film or anything, or they ain't touching, you know. But, oh man, M. Night Shyamalan should have did such better with this. I mean, you know, I like M. Night Shyamalan, but his recent films has been great. Thankfully, M. Night Shyamalan he's been having a great comeback. But most of his other stuff, like, you know, The Happening, After Earth, Lady in the Water, terrible. I, I'm not gonna lie. I probably could have added any M. Night Shyamalan film in this list. I could have added The Happening. I could have added Lady in the Water. But I'm choosing The Last Airbender. This movie is just, oh, so bad. Such a truly awful film. Never see Last Airbender, and you'll be disappointed. I mean, you don't even have to be a fan of the show to truly think this movie is terrible. Yeah. I'm saying now, I actually like that Dragon Ball movie more than this one. I'm being facetious. I actually quite get a kick out of Dragon Ball Evolution than Last Airbender. But yeah. All right, enough talk about the Last Airbender now. All right, number 4. All right, my number 4 worst movie of all time. All right, the worst movie of all time at number 4 goes to Leonard Park Sex. All right, back in the 70s and obviously before everything, like before we knew everything about Bill Cosby and all. In the 70s and 80s, Bill Cosby had a cool TV career. Whether you talk about I Spy or The Cosby Show or whatever. But his film career was a different story. I mean, yeah. He had that Sidney Poitier film, Uptown Saturday. Uptown Saturday Night. Yeah. He had that. But he also had stuff like Ghost Dad, which was horrible. But I think the worst film Bill Cosby has ever done has got to be Leonard Park Sex. I mean, that guy should have went to a movie jail, to be honest with you. I mean, his movie career was just sinking. Whether you talk about Ghost Dad and Leonard Park Sex is seriously the worst film that Bill Cosby has ever done. And yeah, I'm being facetious there. I mean, here you've got like Bill Cosby plays the title character of Leonard, who pretty much lives is like a CIA agent, and he lives a dangerous life and all. And so like he ends up retiring, and so he ends up opening a successful restaurant in San Francisco, and is now like a millionaire. And so like he ends up revealing that in the pleasures of luxury and decadence, Leonard ends up entertains like a little nostalgia for the perilous ventures of his past and all. And so like when this vegetarian played by Gloria Foster ends up appearing and poised to take over the world, Leonard ends up pretty much resigns himself to saving humanity and take down the army of killer animals and all. So there's that. Leonard Park 6. I mean, this movie has some terrible scripting. Shows that Bill Cosby was not that great of a movie actor. He was a great TV actor, whether you talk about The Cosby Show and all. But Leonard Park 6, yeah, that's the story. I mean, this movie was around the same time when that The Cosby Show, of course, premiered. And yeah, Leonard Park 6, like, it was not funny at all. The effects was just so darn bad. I mean, it had some terrible acting, terrible directing by Paul Whelan. Yeah, Lara Park 6 is definitely shit on a biscuit. I'll just put that. Alright. Now, speaking of famed comedians doing sci-fi comedies, my number 3 pick is going to Adventures of Pluto Nash. Anyway, Adventures of Pluto Nash, which of course got a 4% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, it sent Eddie Murphy out in space, and it kind of screwed up a bit of his film career. I mean, Eddie Murphy, I quite like some of his unpopular work. Like, I like Daddy Daycare, I like The Haunted Mansion, and all. But some of his other noble affairs were not great. Whether you talk about Norbit or Imagine That or whatever you want to say. But Adventures of Pluto Nash, I I contend is definitely has got to be the worst movie that Eddie Murphy has ever done. It of course won. I believe it won him a Razzie Award, if I'm not mistaken. I think the movie won a Razzie as well. I can't remember off the top of my head. But Adventure of Pluto Nash is just so damn bad. It was not at all funny. I mean, I remember watching this one time and was like, "What the heck was this?" I mean, you even had you had some good cast members here too. Like you had you had people like Rosario Dawson was in this. Joe Pantoliano. You even had Pam Grier was in this. Peter Boyle from Everybody Loves Raymond fame. I mean, it's pretty much it's of course takes place in 2087, and Eddie Murphy is pretty much plays the role of Pluto Nash who ends up going out of space and all. And the effects for a comedy sci-fi movie, the effects was just horrendous. Like you even had Joe Pantoliano who plays like a gangster at this nightclub in space. I mean, who's ever seen a nightclub in outer space? I mean, for real. I mean, yeah, Adventures of Pluto Nash just sucks right there. Sucks down the drain. I mean, even Eddie Murphy does like this movie because I remember seeing Eddie Murphy in doing an interview with someone, and the person asked Eddie Murphy if he could go back in time and stop himself from like tell his past self of what you say you know Eddie Murphy responded with, "I'll tell my future he actually said that he'll tell his past self, don't do Pluto Nash. I mean, yeah, Pluto Nash it's a bad film, and I mean bad. Yeah, never see Pluto Nash. It's not a good film at all. All right, my number 2 goes to Highlander 2: The Quickening. No, I quite like the first Highlander. I quite like. I know what's his name, John Campea. Like he added Highlander 1 in his top 10 favorite movies of all time list. It's not really one of my favorites of all time, but I get a kick out of the original Highlander. So they of course did a Highlander 2, and Highlander 2: The Quickening is the worst sequel ever, and I mean terrible. I mean it was of course a critical disaster when it got released. I mean, as we speak, the movie actually has a 0%. Like, yeah, the movie got released in the early 90s, and it still holds up a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, yeah. And it's just so bland. I mean, the Christopher Lambert, he was great as Connor. Wait. I mean, Christopher Lambert was great as Connor McLeod in the original, but here he was not great as that character at all. Like, Yeah, and Sean Connery, like probably one of his worst performances, to be honest with you. You know, you had Michael Ironside as Katina. You had John C. McClane was in this. I mean, yeah, Highlander 2, The Quickening. It's such a bad movie. I mean, thankfully they actually did I believe it was a third Highlander film where they ignored everything that came after Highlander 2, which made it much better. I mean, Highlander 3 wasn't great either, but it was slightly much better than Quickening, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, never see Highlander 2. It's shit on a biscuit. That's what it really is. Yeah. I mean, I mean, yeah, I mean, this film had some pretty terrible new characters here. The script was just, plain old bad. I mean, yeah, Highlander 2 is definitely goes down as, yeah. All right. What is the worst movie of all time, in my opinion? All right. The worst movie of all time, my number one pick for the worst film that should ever grace the silver screen. Okay. This goes to Battlefield Earth. Battlefield Earth is one of the worst. Oh, anyway, yeah, Battlefield Earth is. Anywho, yep. I have to be careful. I said this to come out public, but I'm just gonna say, Battlefield Earth is one of the steamiest pile of horse shit to ever grace the silver screen. It's one of the worst scripts and worst sci-fi movies I have ever seen. Now, granted, I never seen it in theaters because I was a little young back then when it got released. So I actually once watched it on TV because I was a bit of a sci-fi guy. So I was like, okay, a new sci-fi film was on TV. I'll check Battlefield Earth out. That I remember when I first saw this when I was young. Battlefield Earth was I thought it was terrible back then. I rewatched it one time not so long ago, and I was like, how the did this movie get made? Literally, like, I mean, was the people on this, like, whoever did this movie had to have been high. I gotta say, they literally, actually, everyone who did the movies on my list had to have been high. Like, seriously, that's the only way you could, these movies could get greenlit. I mean, Battlefield Earth, you had one of John Travolta's worst performances. I mean, I just saw the Fanatic, which he was terrible in too, but that doesn't beat his performance in Battlefield Earth. I mean, he had John Travolta as pretty much the bad guy in this, and he had like one of the craziest, dumbest hairdos you'll ever want to see. Forrest Whitaker also gave one of the worst performances of his career. I mean, how did they get Forrest Whitaker in this is beyond me. You know, you had Barry Pepper was in this. I don't even think the director ever did any other films after Battlefield Earth got released. Yeah, I mean, this movie just Battlefield Earth just sucked so badly, and when I mean suck, I mean, oh god, so horrible, so horrendously bad. It's laughable. I mean, yeah, if you want a good laugh at a movie that's occasionally funny, that's not intentionally should be funny, Battlefield Earth is definitely one of them. I mean, like I said, I never seen this movie in theaters, but John Caprio actually told the story of when he went to see Battlefield Earth. You know, once the film ended and all, you know how when the movie is over, people get their stuff and leave and all. Well, John Caprio was telling the story when he went to see Battlefield Earth back in the 2000, and when the movie ended, everyone just stood quietly and just like everyone stood quietly and until like the credit and watch the credits roll. Then when the credits, stop rolling, everyone in the audience screamed out saying, "What the hell was that?" I mean, I gotta admit, I kind of wish I saw this in theaters. I would love to have seen people's faces when I went to see it. But yeah, Battlefield Earth just. See my finger? That's Battlefield Earth. I mean, I can't find, like, there's no dogs who took a shit here, so I can't really find loads of shit here to explain of how badly Battlefield Earth was. But you guys get the gist. Battlefield Earth just, oh god, so bad. And this movie was supposed to be a great sci-fi film, but oh god damn, so painfully bad. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me do the quick rundown. Number 10, Mac and Me. 9, Jaws the Revenge. 8, Frey Got Fingered. I literally said that out loud. Anyway. 7, 1998's The Avengers. 6, The Emoji Movie. 5, The Last Airbender. 4, Leonard Park 6. 3, The Adventures of Pluto Nash. 1, 2, Highlander 2, The Quickening. And 1, The Shades of Lamore of Battlefield Earth. Alright. Now, there's loads of other movies I probably could have added on this list. Most people would probably say Movie 43 and Disaster Movie and Dragon Ball Evolution, but I quite got a kick out of those. And most people would probably say Catwoman, Batman and Robin, but those are more guilty pleasures of mine, and also I'm not the reason why I didn't add those. Let's see. Oh, that, let's see what else is here.
Oh, I think it closed at 10:30.
Alright. Let me go to worst. Another Bill Cosby movie, Ghost Dad, was horrible. Birdemic, Shock and Terror, that was terrible. Let's see. Human Centipede 3 and 2, those were pretty bad. I quite like the first Human Centipede, but the sequels were not that good. Lots of people add Adam Sandler movies, but I kind of get a kick out of his films, so yeah. Norbit was pretty terrible. Let's see.
That's when I want
What else is here? I already said Fred Got Fingered. The Mariah Carey classic Glitter. Swept Away, the Madonna classic. Master of Disguise, a classic with Dana Carvey. Ballistic, Eeks and Server with Antonio Banderas and Lucy Liu. Oh god, that was so bad. Let's see. There's of course The Room, which is more of a guilty pleasure of mine, so that's kind of why The Room's not in this list. Jilly with Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez was pretty bad. I mean, I could go through a whole list of bad movies that I think are just plain old bad. But let me leave you guys. What are some of your worst movies of all time? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here is C Movies signing off.